Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called It Won't Start. Last night I did a scheduled upgrade of QuickBooks for a client. 1 server, 10 desktops, 3 databases. Went well. As usual with an upgrade like this, I'm scheduled to be on site the next day for a couple of hours to help out and answer questions about the new version. In this case scheduled for Monday morning, since like most offices they are closed over the weekends. Cell phone rings this morning at 7:30 AM. I don't recognize the number, so I ignore it. They then proceed to call back continuously for the next 10 minutes. Never leaving a message until the last call. I listen to the message. It's from a staff person at the client where I upgraded QuickBooks. Irate, yelling. QuickBooks is broke. I can't do my job. This is going to cost the company tens of thousands of dollars. You better get this fixed. Get over here. Call me back immediately. So I remote into the remote desktop server. Verify that all is well. Take a deep breath and call her back. She proceeds to berate me until she runs out of breath, never tells me what the problem is, but instead focuses on how her inability to enter some transactions she didn't get to on Friday is going to cause the world to end. After several minutes, I finally get her to tell me what problem she's having when she wants the program. It won't start. Does it give you an error message when you try to start it? What do you see? I can't run it. There's no icon on the desktop. You need to get out here and fix this now. You are destroying the company. I remote into her system. The icon is there, in the exact same place as it was before, but it's a different icon. Still titled QuickBooks of course, but it's a different color. I tell her to watch the screen, double click it, and of course the program comes right up. I remind her that this is a new version and that some commands and screens will look a bit different. She accuses me of screwing around with it, just to make things more difficult for her. I tell her that's not the case. Ask her if there's anything else I can do to assist. A couple more ugly comments from her and we end the call. My phone system sends me voicemails as emails with MP3 attachments. I forward the email to the owner of the company and told him I expected to be treated more professionally in the future. I went into the client's office this morning to assist with any issues they might have with the new version. None to speak of. The complainer stayed out of my way. Literally left her desk while I was in the vicinity. As I was getting ready to leave, the owner of the firm called me into his office this morning and apologized for her voicemail tirade. Said he'd have a talk with her. I was cordial, told him no need to, etc. and didn't bring up her behavior when I was trying to help her. As I left, he had her in his office and was playing back the voicemail. About a half hour later, she called and apologized. Sounded very beaten down. It was clear he'd given her a major tongue lashing. Her apology was about as enthusiastic as that of a 6-year-old caught stealing cookies. But I took the high road, thanked her and told her I'd be happy to help her in the future. Didn't say any of the many things I would have liked to, because it is not worth setting off the guy who writes the checks. The owner is a solid guy. He's been a client for over 12 years. The next story is called Orders Ticket. I was a Tier 1 remote support tech. This was one of my first official IT jobs. And I was a young, fresh-faced, wide-eyed kid with a working knowledge of some kind of code and the ability to install Java with over a 50% success rate. Ring ring went the phone. I perked up. Another customer, desperately in need, on the brink of disaster, had called upon me to single-handedly resolve their problem and leave them 110% satisfied. A problem I alone had the keys to fix, so long as it was within the exceptionally narrow purview of the types of problems I was trained to handle. Thanks for calling Tech Support Megacorp. There was a long pause, and then the person slowly gave me their info. I plugged it into my system, looked at the client's info. They were based out in Washington State, a very remote office, easily 3 or 4 hours drive from their nearest desk side support analyst. If I couldn't fix their issue, they might not be up and running for days. I was their last hope. So, our computer's been running really slow. The guy starts out, and I jump on it. I see. Let me see if you have any hanging processes going on. Do you know what version of Java you are running? Have you recently uninstalled or reinstalled any programs? No to all of these. Our remote session was lagging for sure, but I couldn't find out what was the cause. See, it started after the storm. The guy went onto a ramble about the weather and how they've been dealing with landslides and other unrelated things. Meanwhile, I kept scrounging for data in the system. The processor was just running so slow, and it's been hot and the computer smells pretty funny. I stopped. Smells funny? Have you cleaned it recently to get dust out of it? There was a long pause while the guy presumably took the case of the PC. Then screams, slams, strings of profanity. Then quiet. Sir? I asked after a moment. Are you still there? Is everything okay? No, he shouts. There's a hole in the wall and it looks like they got in after the storm. They've built a hive. What? He repeated himself. So yeah, can you get someone out here with a new PC or something? I know it's hard to get someone out here and all. Undeterred, I assured them I'd have someone out as soon as I could. I typed up the ticket and sent it on its way. And I never heard how it got resolved. But I will never forget that ticket as I sent it on its way. Computer completely filled with bees. Sending to desk side support. The third story is called It's on the Desktop. One of the team leads in my department was having trouble getting something to work in Excel and pinged me for help. I asked if she could email me the spreadsheet so I could take a look myself, and she sends me a link instead to the spreadsheet on her desktop, as in her file path. I began rubbing my temples because I knew this particular person well enough to know that a simple explanation would not be heard, processed and acted on, but I had to try anyway. I responded, explaining that I can't access files stored on her hard drive and that she needs to send it to me as an attachment. She responds by saying, it's on the desktop. If the link won't work, just open it. I again explained that her desktop and my desktop are not the same thing, and that I am no more able to open items on her desktop than she is of opening things on mine. She responds, somehow arguing with the guy that she wants help from. If I'm so incompetent, why are you asking me for help? That she's opened the recycle bin. And I have a recycle bin. Therefore, since we both have recycle bins, I should be able to open things on her desktop. This is the point where I dial back the professionalism and let my tenure absorb the hit if she pitches a fit. I say, excuse me, and get up, then turn on the kitchen faucet. I work from home, and I know from prior experience that it's audible from my home office. I sit back down at my desk and say, I've just turned my kitchen faucet on. Do you have any water in your sink? The silence lasted a good 10 seconds, and I could almost hear the hamster wheel in her head straining. And she finally says, quietly and clearly trying to sound as neutral and unflustered as possible, okay, that makes sense. I send it over as an attachment. The next story is called Give Me the Manager. I was working at the service desk and it was getting towards the end of the day, and we were winding down before leaving at 5 when I had a call from a very angry man who ran a small business. He'd logged a ticket the day before for being unable to print to a specific printer. However, he could walk 20 more meters and collect his documents from another perfectly fine printer. The job had been with the senior engineers for the day, as obviously this is not the highest priority issue we'd had today. Despite being polite and offering to speak with the team leader, he flips out. I don't want you to speak with a manager. I want you to freaking fix it. My boss is very good about us not taking abuse from customers. So I immediately flick him a message that it's starting to go south. I tell the guy on the phone that I'm sorry, I can't fix it, but I'll organize an engineer to give him a call tomorrow and speak with my team leader. He doesn't take this well and immediately yells, I wanna speak with your manager. I say of course and go to transfer the call. My boss picks up. I've got a gentleman who wants to speak with my freaking manager. He gives me a grin and then says to put it through. He sits on the phone for 5 seconds before asking him to stop swearing. I didn't hear this part, but evidently he doesn't stop. He immediately hangs up on the customer, speaks with the director, and has all service for this customer cancelled. Manager then says, you did absolutely the right thing, and says if he ever calls back, you are to put him straight through and never help him with anything. The last story is called Don't Have a Manager. I used to work for a particularly large ISP, doing tech support. One day, the guy working next to me was dealing with a particularly rude business customer. The business customers were usually treated like kings, but this guy was having a particularly hard time even getting a word in. Eventually, he put up his hand to motion to the supervisor to come talk to the customer. Right then, the owner of the company happened to be walking by with another one of the executives. I've met the guy a few times at the company's social events, and he is a really down-to-earth, employee-friendly boss. He asked what the issue was with his customer, and after it was explained, he took the headset and picked up the line. After listening for about 4 to 5 minutes, he said very flatly, "That's never going to happen. Especially not when you have an attitude like a 13-year-old girl." Again, listening for a minute before he said, "I don't have a manager. I own this company, and I don't have to listen to this crap from you. And neither do my employees. I'm terminating your account with us." He hung up, and I watched him disable this guy's account and add a note to the file. "Customer is a jerk. Do not reinstate the account, boss." Then he just handed back the headset and carried on about his day. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.